Well, I've never been a huge fan of the way scaling works in Defiance. I think it's a little bit unfair in both directions at times, and I don't mean by high and low egos. I mean for arc hunters and for the enemies that we go against. I've never felt like it worked 100% the way it should. It's just kind of, I'm surprised they haven't done little tweaks and stuff here, because really and truly, threat level 10 is meant for quite a few different people playing. It's not meant for one or two people, and that's kind of the way it works out in the end. Is two people, two high ego people, just we'll say two 5,000s are going to get a threat level of 10. My ego with another 3,000 around is going to give me a threat level 10. No, thank you. I don't really like fighting threat level 10s with what equates to an ego 4750 at that point, because his ego gets boosted up to that, but his weapons and stuff are not that good at that point, and I don't much care for the way that works. And at the same point, whenever I guess you could say it's not fair to the enemies. When I'm alone, it gives me a threat level of 3, and everything is just simply destroyed. Now, do I like that when I'm doing, say, contracts? Absolutely. The same thing I've done 250 trillion times. I want to do it as fast as possible. And that's part of the problem with it hopping up to threat level 10. And this is mainly in your contract areas. That's where most people don't like it. And that's one thing that was kind of nice about the way the co-op system worked. If I felt like having a challenge, I could go into the expert maps. Now every map is a challenge, since it adjusts my ego up and down. We kind of got a bonus as high ego people. It kind of gave you a reason to become a high ego. But now they've kind of stolen it away a little bit. But then again, they're fixing to return it, but not in a way I find is fair. Maybe they'll change some of this up, but the way it's worded right now, and all I can do is go by the way it's worded, because I don't get on the test servers and play this stuff. But we're going to be talking about the expedition, the way that way those are going to work out, because the way it reads is that, say you jump into, I'm an ego 5600, I jump into an ego 800 person's match, I am going to be leveled down to that person. And you say, well, that's right, that makes sense. I mean, even co-ops work that way. You're right, I have no problem with that. Okay, but that ego 800 person joins me in an expedition, he's still an ego 800. The way it reads, he will not go up. So he has no chance. I mean, an evil stare from an enemy is going to drop an ego 800 person at threat level 10. And we are probably speaking about a higher than threat level 10 on these expeditions. So, it doesn't make sense. And why do I not like this above all? Well, your rewards are going to be based on basically how high the threat level is. The higher the threat level is, the better the chance for rewards, is the way it reads. So unless I carry this low ego person through this, which most people are not, so that means we're all kicking these low ego people. Oh, you're ego 2000? Get the hell out of my match. That's about the way it's going to be. I see a lot of cutthroat antics happening. I see, people getting kicked off friends lists, people kicked out of clans. Don't join me. You shouldn't have joined me in there. You messed it up. I was trying to get another high ego person or something. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of see issues coming up. When you don't let everybody play, it causes issues. And I kind of feel, the way it reads, that's what it's going to lead to, is we're going to have some unhappy people. And I want to be able to play with anybody. If you're on my friends list, I want to not care what your ego is. Well, at least this guy's going to get a bump up to X amount of ego, which I don't know that it'll be 4750, because technically, the way it reads, I might be a low ego person. It might be time for me to look into going ahead and finish some pursuits, because the way I'm seeing people talk about it, it seems like, it used to be 5500 was pretty much our stopping point, and it seems like maybe that's going to matter now. And this is just what I'm reading into it, and I say so remember that I could just be misreading that part. So I may have to look into even get myself up. I'm technically maybe a lower ego person at this point, but I just don't care much for the way the ego system is going to go. If it's going to work against the lower egos like that, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm always fair. When they added the expert maps and they were for, you had to be Ego 5000, you know, for somebody who worked to get it, I was kind of happy that they did it that way. But the fact that I could start it, but I could bring a lower ego person with me is why I didn't have any big problem with it. Yes, you could not start it if you were under 5,000, but you could still do it as long as somebody was willing to bring you with them. So to me, that made it just fine, and I was kind of happy. It's like, hey, this is what you get for your work you've put into this game, for your effort, the fact that you've stuck around, or whatnot. Not you had to stick around. If you just really put your nose down, you can ego up and do it really quick. I mean, I've seen people, I remember when the game first came out, there was, within the first, month or less, there were people who had all the achievements in the game. They were maxed ego, and they were just saying, what to do now. And it was, just that simple. Those were the people that really flew through it. Where me, I took longer. I was in no hurry. At the time, ego really wasn't any, it didn't really matter. All ego mattered for was, you kind of spent less arc salvage on, opening mod slots and stuff like that. Ego, actually, being Ego 5000 back in the day was a bad thing because nobody wanted your damn guns because they couldn't use them. So, being around 1 to 2 to maybe 3,000 ego was a pretty darn good place to be. A lot of people were in that area. So a lot of people could use your guns. A lot of people started second tunes, including myself, so that we could, sell these guns. You could get lower ego tunes. That way we could spread it out even further because it didn't matter. Now where you don't want a lower ego weapon because it doesn't do as much damage, which might be, to me that was actually kind of a good thing they did. It kind of sucks. I understand the money thing and how that works and all that. I mean, it kind of sucks there. But at the same time, it kind of works. I kind of like the way they did that with the guns leveling up with you. I mean, it's kind of Borderlands, and we kind of rolled with it in Borderlands, and we were used to that. So, but in these expeditions, it's kind of going to be like we're used to. And then again, if they're serious about that, lower ego people not scaling up with higher ego people, those poor people are left out, I think, of maybe some of the better rewards. This is going to have to be your really, really good friend to carry you through it if it's going to work that way. And I kind of feel bad. I mean, it'll give you a reason to push for your ego to be higher. Maybe that's their whole purpose because, I mean, you can look at it how you want. Don't think I don't understand it. Okay, I have to push for my ego to be higher. Now my guns need to be going with me. Okay, I need Arc Forge. I'm not earning enough Arc Forge. I need to go to the store and buy Arc Forge. I see it. I get the model. I see how it works. But I want to, day one, I think everybody should be able to do it. I don't think you should have to be struggling right off the bat. So from what I read, I'm telling you right now, if you are low ego, it's time to make that push. Before expeditions come out, the higher the ego you can get, the better. Start working on those pursuits. Make sure you're hitting your arc balls and stuff in the meantime to get that XP up and everything. It's a darn shame if you weren't doing the colony courtship because when I hopped onto these and did some with my lower tunes, I mean you leveled up at least twice during them. I mean, like when the matron died, you leveled up, and then when it was over and you got that XP, you leveled up again. It was a very, very good time to be leveling up, and obviously a lot of people did because it was. I mean, I know well over 1 million script just from people leveling up at these things. So yeah, it's, if you miss that, you've really missed a window. But yeah, it's time to make that push because it looks like being a higher ego could be important, at least for getting some of the better rewards. And you do want the better rewards, right? So start making that push before expeditions hit, or you may be mad when you're having to push right then. And we're going to go ahead and end it right here. And I will catch you guys later.